Arsenal fans, brace yourselves because today we are diving headfirst into a huge bundle of Arsenal updates that could seriously shape what comes next at the Emirates Stadium. Reports from sources close to Bayern Munich suggest Arsenal are already involved in background talks regarding a future move for Musiala. This is not just admiration from a distance. Communication lines are open between Arsenal, the players' camp, and Bayern themselves, with all sides staying informed as the situation develops. Musiala only recently signed a new contract at Bayern Munich, keeping him at the Allianz Arena until 2030. But here is the key detail Arsenal fans need to understand. That contract includes a release clause that drops with every passing transfer window. This summer, that clause is expected to sit at around £127.5 million, down from an original figure of £150 million. In future years, it drops even further, potentially to £115 million in 2027, £105 million in 2028, and as low as £85 million by 2029. Inside Bayern, there is already an acceptance that Musiala may not stay forever. Because of his level, his influence, and his ambition, Bayern know that a serious project could tempt him, and Arsenal are now firmly part of that conversation. Sitting top of both the Premier League and Champions League this season, Mikel Arteta's project is being viewed across Europe as elite, stable, and ready-made for world-class talent. But Musiala is not the only superstar being discussed behind closed doors. Arsenal are also actively exploring a summer move for Julian Alvarez, with Atletico Madrid aware of the growing interest from North London. Sources suggest a bid in the region of £87 million could be enough to bring Atletico to the negotiating table, even though the Spanish club would prefer to keep him. Alvarez has endured a difficult spell in front of goal in Spain, but Arsenal see beyond the numbers. They see a World Cup winner, a relentless presser, a player who thrives in big moments, and someone who could add sharpness and flexibility to an attack that has sometimes lacked a ruthless edge. Former England striker Gary Lineker has even weighed in, saying Alvarez is exactly the type of player who can handle pressure at the highest level, and suggesting that a move to Arsenal could be a game changer. Atletico are reluctant sellers, but Arsenal sporting director Andrea Berta's long-standing relationship with the Spanish club keeps this door very much open. And now comes a storyline that has caught many fans by surprise. Martin Odegaard's future is being quietly monitored across Europe. Reports suggest Arsenal could be open to offers this summer if the right proposal arrives, with Bayern Munich and Inter Milan both keeping close tabs on the situation. From Arsenal's perspective, any sale would massively help with Premier League financial rules, and Odegaard would likely become the most expensive outgoing in the club's history. There is no suggestion that Arsenal want to lose their captain, but this is modern football. Every player has a price, and when clubs like Bayern and Inter start circling, conversations inevitably happen. Whether Odegaard stays or goes, his situation could have a major impact on how Arsenal shape their midfield and attacking structure moving forward. Despite the noise, Arsenal remain calm. After spending around £250 million in the summer, the club are not expected to rush into January deals. The focus is on stability, momentum, and finishing the season strongly, starting with Champions League action against FC Kairat as Arsenal look to bounce back immediately after the Manchester United defeat. The message from inside the club is clear. Arsenal are competing now, but they are also planning for dominance. Musiala, Alvarez, big decisions, big ambition, and a club that is no longer thinking small. So Arsenal fans, let me ask you this. If you could only choose one, do you go all in for Jamal Musiala, or do you prioritise Julian Alvarez to sharpen the attack? And would you ever accept selling Martin Odegaard if it meant Arsenal taking the final step toward becoming Europe's best team elsewhere? While fans debate that, one Arsenal move has already delivered instant proof that the club made the right call. Ethan Nwaneri has announced himself in France in spectacular fashion. Just 13 minutes into his Marseille debut, the 18-year-old found the back of the net, scoring his first League One goal and immediately justifying Mikel Arteta's faith in the lone decision. Roberto De Zerbi wasted no time throwing him into action, and Nwaneri responded with confidence, intelligence, and composure beyond his years. This loan was never about sending him away. It was about accelerating his development in a demanding environment. Arsenal believe Marseille gives him intensity, responsibility, and tactical freedom, and that early goal is exactly the kind of spark they hope for. Inside the club, there is real belief that Nwaneri could return next season sharper, stronger, and ready to compete seriously for minutes. Arsenal lead the Premier League, top their Champions League group, and are still alive in multiple competitions. The squad is deep, experienced, and battle-hardened. That has not stopped Arsenal from exploring options for the future. One name that keeps resurfacing is PSG winger Bradley Barcola. The 23-year-old has been closely monitored after another strong season in France, and Arsenal view him as a potential long-term upgrade on the left wing. Talks are not advanced, and a January deal is highly unlikely, but groundwork is being laid. Arsenal are also tracking RB Leipzig forward Yan Diomande, although competition from Manchester City and Manchester United makes that situation complex. Back to Alvarez, and the feeling is that if Atletico Madrid soften their stance further, Arsenal will be ready. An £80 million deal would not be cheap, but for a player of his age, output and pedigree, it could be the final piece in turning dominance into trophies. The concern, of course, is squad balance. Arsenal have already spent heavily on attackers, and overcrowding is something Arteta is desperate to avoid. Every move now must improve the squad, not just add depth. Looking further ahead, Andrea Berta is already shaping summer plans. One name on the radar is Levante striker Carl Etta Eyong. The 22-year-old has impressed in La Liga with goals and assists, and his contract includes a release clause that could rise to around £35 million for clubs outside Spain. Arsenal see him as a development option with huge upside, though competition from Europe's elite is expected. So Arsenal fans, this is where things stand. No panic, no reckless spending, but serious names, serious planning, and serious ambition. Alvarez remains one to watch. Nwaneri is already delivering, and the foundations for the summer are quietly being laid. Now over to you. Would you spend £80 million on Julian Alvarez if it meant finally adding that killer edge? Are you happy with a quiet January if the summer is explosive? And what did you make of Nwaneri scoring on his Marseille debut? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure you stay connected, because this Arsenal story is only just heating up. In other news, Arsenal welcome Manchester United knowing how big this game was, knowing that every point matters in a tight title race, and knowing that momentum was needed after recent draws. The atmosphere was electric, the belief was there, and Arsenal actually started the game with intent, energy, and control. The Gunners took the lead, and for a moment it felt like this was going to be one of those nights where Arsenal show character and authority. But once again, the game did not turn on football alone. It turned on decisions, or more accurately, a lack of proper decisions. The turning point arrives with Patrick Dorgu's goal, a goal that is now being talked about everywhere for all the wrong reasons. In the build-up, the ball clearly makes contact with Dorgu's arm before it drops perfectly for him to shoot. Arsenal players appeal instantly, fans react instantly, and everyone inside the stadium expects VAR to intervene. VAR checks it, but the referee is never sent to the screen. The goal stands. Just like that. Arsenal fans are left staring at the screen, asking the same question they have asked so many times this season. How is that not handball? How is that allowed? How is that consistent with decisions we have seen in other matches? Former officials later claimed the incident was inconclusive, that it might have hit his hip. But supporters have seen the replays. They have watched them over and over. To them, it looks clear. And that is where the anger comes from. Not because of one decision, but because of the feeling that Arsenal never get the benefit of doubt. And then comes the Harry Maguire incident, another moment that pushes fans closer to the edge. Mikel Merino strikes the ball, it is heading towards goal, and it hits Maguire's hand inside the penalty area. His arm is not tucked tightly. The ball is stopped. Arsenal appeal. The stadium erupts. Once again, nothing is given. No penalty, no VAR review at the screen. The explanation later is that Maguire was using his arm to support his body. But fans are asking, since when does that excuse blocking a shot on target with your hand? Since when did the handball rule become so unclear that nobody truly understands it anymore? And these were not the only incidents. Lisandro Martinez appears to punch Gabriel Jesus in the head inside the box. No review, no punishment. Play continues. Victor Gyökeres is grabbed by the face during another attack. Again, nothing. These moments stack up. They pile on top of each other. And suddenly it no longer feels like bad luck. It feels like a pattern. Despite all of this, Arsenal still fight. They still push forward, they still manage to score again and give themselves hope. The players do not hide. The crowd stays behind them. But Manchester United score again, and this time they hold on. Full-time whistle blows. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 3. Now look at the bigger picture. Arsenal's last 3 league matches include a draw against Liverpool, a draw against Nottingham Forest, and now this defeat. 7 points dropped and VAR controversies have surrounded all of them. Fans are not angry because Arsenal lost. Fans are angry because they feel robbed of fairness. They feel like the rules change depending on the shirt being worn. Social media is flooded with the same message. Arsenal fans are tired of being robbed over and over again. Tired of apologies. Tired of explanations that change every week. Tired of feeling like their team has to beat the opponent and the officials at the same time. This is not about conspiracy theories. This is about trust in the game. When supporters no longer understand the rules, when VAR feels selective, when big moments go unchecked, football loses its credibility. So now the question goes to you. Was this another night where Arsenal were robbed by VAR? Or is this just the new normal that fans are expected to accept? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, in transfer news, Arsenal's interest in the Atletico Madrid forward has resurfaced in recent reports. Although Arsenal have plenty of attacking options now, the club still admire Alvarez's profile. He is a World Cup winner, a proven goal scorer, and someone Arteta could see as an elite addition in the summer. Reports suggest Arsenal have held initial talks about a potential transfer, but they will face heavy competition. Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain are also said to be monitoring Alvarez, and Atletico Madrid value him highly after investing heavily to bring him to Spain. While a January move is unlikely, this is one name firmly on Arsenal's summer radar. Another name that continues to follow Arsenal is Arda Güler. The Real Madrid midfielder has been admired by Arteta for some time and has featured less regularly under new circumstances at the Bernabeu. ESPN and other outlets have linked Arsenal with interest, but there is no formal offer on the table this month. Like Alvarez, Güler is a long-term target, a player Arsenal could revisit when the window reopens fully. Meanwhile, Arsenal are monitoring Victor Valdepenas from Real Madrid as a potential future defensive addition. The 19-year-old defender has recently made his debut for Madrid and is seen as a highly promising talent. He can play centre-back and left-back and has a release clause that could make a summer move possible. This type of investment reflects Arsenal's strategy of blending established stars with exciting youth prospects. Next up, Ethan Nwaneri. The 18-year-old has completed a loan move to Marseille for the remainder of the season. After careful consideration, Arsenal decided this was the best path for his development. Nwaneri had made 12 appearances this season but wasn't starting regularly under Mikel Arteta, especially after the signings of Eberechi Eze and Noni Madueke. Arteta and the club spoke at length with Nwaneri, his family and his representatives. They chose Marseille because of Roberto De Zerbi's reputation for developing young talent and his willingness to trust young attackers. The loan is now official and Nwaneri will gain valuable first-team football in League One before returning to the Emirates in the summer. Chelsea have also been linked with Rennes centre-back Jeremy Jacquet, and while personal terms have reportedly been agreed, the clubs have not yet settled on a fee. That unresolved situation has led some to believe Arsenal could still make a late summer push if the deal collapses entirely. Looking at fullback and centre-back markets, Arsenal are being linked with Sporting Lisbon defender Ousmane Diomande and Eintracht Frankfurt left-back Nathaniel Brown. These names reflect the club's desire to add depth at the back, especially with injuries disrupting Arsenal's defence earlier this season. Diomande, in particular, has drawn attention from other Premier League clubs, including Tottenham, Chelsea and Manchester United, though Arsenal appear ready to compete for his signature if the right offer can be agreed. Finally, there are ongoing discussions about Arsenal's approach to young talent versus ready-made stars this winter. Andrea Berta and the recruitment team have been deliberate in their planning. This January has been quieter than many expected, not because Arsenal are inactive, but because they are prioritising smart, strategic moves over short-term fixes. Arsenal's injury situation improving also plays into that. With more first-team players available, fringe players like Nwaneri are now the ones most likely to move on loan for minutes, while the core squad remains intact for the title push. So Arsenal fans, do you think Arsenal should chase Julian Alvarez in the summer? Would Arda Güler be a good fit in midfield? And should Arsenal reinvest in defence with Diomande or Brown? In other news, according to reports coming out of France, Arsenal have made a formal approach to sign highly rated Lille midfielder Ayoub Boadi, moving ahead of Paris Saint-Germain in the race for his signature. The Gunners have identified the 18-year-old as a top midfield target, and RMC Sport report that Arsenal have now explored the conditions of a potential deal. Chelsea and Real Madrid are also tracking Bouadi, with Lille valuing him at over £40 million. PSG are keen to keep the best young French talents in Ligue 1, but Arsenal have acted early in an attempt to get ahead of their rivals. Bouadi himself has said he will decide his future at the end of the season, making it clear that anything can happen. This is a big statement of intent from Arsenal. Sitting at the top of the Premier League, pushing for their first league title since 2003, Arsenal are now planning not just for now, but for the future as well. Sporting director Andrea Berta continues to monitor elite young talent across Europe, and Bouadi fits Arsenal's profile perfectly, and the transfer talk does not stop there. Arsenal are serious contenders for Rennes defender Jérémy Jacquet. The 20-year-old centre-back has impressed in League One and is now attracting interest from several top clubs. Reports suggest Arsenal have emerged as serious contenders, although Chelsea are also closely monitoring the situation. Rennes are reluctant to sell in January as they chase European qualification, but a deal that keeps Jacquet at the club until the summer could appeal to all parties. Despite signing Piero Hincapié and Christian Mosquera last summer, Arsenal's defensive injuries this season have shown why more depth is still needed. William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Ricardo Calafiori and Ben White have all had fitness issues at different points. Signing another young defender would be a smart and shrewd move, especially if Arsenal secure him now and allow him to develop before arriving in the summer. There is also a potential defensive shake-up coming. Reports suggest Arsenal are tracking Nathaniel Brown of Eintracht Frankfurt. The left-sided defender, valued at around £50 million, could arrive as a ready-made option with Bundesliga experience. If that happens, it could open the door for Miles Lewis-Skelly to move further forward. Despite breaking through last season, Lewis-Skelly has started only once in the league this term. Arteta may see his long-term future in midfield, where his natural instincts, energy and ball progression can shine without the defensive risks that have led to disciplinary issues. Brown, meanwhile, is more composed defensively and has shown creativity from left-back, drawing comparisons to Ben White's move to Arsenal in 2021. With experienced leaders in the squad and a stable system in place, this is the perfect moment to bring in best-in-class young talent, give them time, and allow them to grow without pressure. In the Premier League, Arsenal remain top and in control, and while there has been frustration at times, especially with draws like the one against Nottingham Forest, the overall direction is clearly positive. That progress has been backed by serious investment. Arsenal spent around £250 million last summer, and while big names like Victor Gyökeres and Eberechi Eze have not fully hit top gear yet, the club believes the foundations are right. Still, Arteta knows better than anyone that Arsenal have slipped up in key moments before, and that is why planning for the future is already well underway. One name that keeps coming back into the conversation is Julian Alvarez. Arsenal were interested in the former Manchester City striker before they committed to Gyökeres, and now those links are resurfacing again. Reports suggest Arteta remains a huge admirer of Alvarez and could revisit a move in the summer, especially if there is movement in Arsenal's attacking line. According to multiple reports, Arsenal have held initial talks with intermediaries over a potential deal. Alvarez's situation at Atletico Madrid is being closely monitored, and while he has scored regularly in Spain, he has yet to win silverware there. Arsenal are not alone though. Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain and Chelsea are all believed to be keeping an eye on him, so this would not be a simple deal. Another incoming that is being discussed internally, though again more for the future, is Real Madrid teenager Victor Valdepenas. Arsenal are reportedly very impressed with the 19-year-old, who can play both centre-back and left-back, and is considered one of the most physically gifted players in Madrid's academy. He recently made his debut for the first team and has a release clause of around £44 million in his contract. Arsenal see him as a potential long-term project, not a January signing, but one to watch closely. Arda Güler is another name on Arsenal's radar. ESPN report that the Real Madrid midfielder is admired by Arteta, especially given his technical quality and ability to operate centrally. His role at Madrid has become less clear in recent months, but Arsenal are not planning any major move for him this window. Like Alvarez and Valdepenas, Güler is viewed as a possible summer opportunity if the right conditions emerge. In the short term, the main confirmed January movement involves Ethan Nwaneri. Arsenal have now agreed his loan move to Marseille, where he will work under Roberto De Zerbi until the end of the season. The club believe this is the perfect environment for his development, offering intensity, tactical freedom, and regular competitive football. The deal is complete, the medical has been passed, and only the official announcement remains. Defensively, Arsenal are staying calm. Jeremy Jacquet has been linked, but Chelsea are still struggling to agree a fee with Rennes, and Arsenal are not rushing into anything.